Dick Armey, thanks for talking to us. Thanks for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
You've been addressing the FreedomWorks crowd in Tampa. You talked about the risk that Florida faces with catastrophic insurance with a hurricane. Give me an assessment of Governor Crist.
Well, I'm not sure I can assess the governor's whole job. I'm not studied on it. He's got some great ideas, I understand, on tort reform and even property taxes. But you have to complement a reduction in taxes with a reduction in spending. But I have been concerned about what I see as the flight of private insurance from your state, which tells me that the state agency is charging rates that aren't actuarially sound, and they won't be ready for the contingency if the storm comes.
What was your reaction when you saw a Republican governor campaigning with Barack Obama for the stimulus package?
I did. It was frankly not something I noticed. I don't like politics, and I don't pay much attention to it. I am seriously interested in policy issues, but what politicians do is not of much interest to me.
One of the things some of our Republican leaders in Tallahassee are talking about right now with a big budget deficit is looking at internet sales tax, looking at some sales tax exemptions, perhaps cigarette taxes, a lot of this in the context of what they're describing as tax fairness.
Well, tax fairness is always a good argument to make when you're trying to raise taxes, but the fact is we've seen this in state after state after state. Maybe an instrument like they had in Colorado, Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, to put a limit on the size of spending will help the government sort of stay within its means without having to resort to looking for places to raise taxes and arguments to use for justification for those increased taxes. My guess is that Florida, like most states, has plenty of stuff they can cut out of their budget that are frills that are not necessary and make a more efficient allocation of fewer dollars within the state.
You were talking about earmarks in there and some of the pork spending that you've seen in Washington. You, I gather, did not stick any earmarks in the budgets, but as a leader in the party, where were you when the Republicans were in charge and spending was still out of control?
Actually, the explosion in earmarks didn't start until after I left. It was interesting. I know I worked hard during the time I was there to keep them down. The appropriators always had an inclination to do that, but after I left, it expanded far beyond the appropriators, and that's, of course, when it got so far out of control and out of hand. And that was the complex result of several personalities that found themselves in leadership positions without a voice of restraint that mine would have been had I stayed there.
The new RNC chairman, Michael Steele, seems to be having sort of a rocky start. What's your take on him? What would be your advice to him at this point?
Well, my advice to the chairman would be understand that you have the privilege of leading a party on serious policy matters. Confine your leadership discussions to serious policy, and you'll find the American people are endeared to you. But if you're going to wallow in politics, expect to be treated like a politician.
Isn't that what an RNC chairman does, is wallow in politics?
Well, even somebody that has a political position can raise politics to the serious discussion of real public policy issues. I mean, politics isn't completely devoid of a brain. It's just a matter that it's allowed to atrophy as politicians, wrangle around with a bunch of prat about themselves and each other. They need to talk about what the nation needs and what is good policy for the country. Then the politics will follow the good policy.
Okay, Dick Armey, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You bet.